Thank you everyone for joining in right on time. We're just going to wait for another 5 minutes to start.
We're live on Facebook.
Super, excellent. A very good evening to everyone. Thank you for logging in for our student panel discussion on decoding liberal arts in India. We're just going to wait for another couple of minutes for all our attendees to join in, and then we're going to start. Hope everyone's safe and doing well. All right, so I think we should start because we also had a few attendees who joined in at 4:55 when we should reward them for being early. So again, a very, very warm good evening to all of you here, to even our panelists, for taking time out and joining us today. I'm Kritika Bagaria. I'm the founder of Kritika Bagaria Associates. What we do at Kritika Bagaria Associates is that we work with students of classes 9 to 12, and we mentor them and we help them in finding their best fit career options and colleges. And in this very, very unique year, and in these times of the changing world, the concept of liberal arts has become more popular than ever before, and many of our students and parents have been wanting to find out more about liberal arts, what this all means, what are the kind of careers students can take up that is going to keep them relevant, or that will keep them that will equip them with the right skills, at least for them to adapt to changing times. And how does liberal arts fit in to that scheme of things? So these are the questions that we've been answering constantly for our students and for our parents. And that's when we decided to put together a panel with students who themselves have gone through their liberal arts journey. A lot of our panelists here are either in college or have recently graduated, and we have purposely put together a very eclectic mix of students from varied majors, varied minors, all of them having different experiences in college, in completely different areas of careers, work, masters. And the entire idea of putting together this panel is for them to speak about their personal experiences and how liberal arts has shaped them, the pros, the pros, the few cons, and how all of you who are, looking at exploring colleges in India and trying to understand if liberal arts would be your right fit, are free to understand from their experiences, ask questions. The way we have designed this panel is that we're going to be talking about 5 major aspects today. The first one is about the academic choices. So again, like a lot of you know, liberal arts is really, really about exploring your interest, finding the right major, finding the right minor. And we want to ask our panelists here how they went about discovering their areas of interest, choosing their majors and minors. So that's one aspect that we're going to talk about. The second thing we're going to talk about is campus life. We have 5 colleges here, and all of them have a unique campus life. All of them are good for particular things, and we want to get that highlighted and ask our panelists how they have made the most of their campus life and how it has, of course, shaped their personalities and the friendship bonds that they have developed in college and how important that's going to be. And the third thing we're going to talk about is all their extracurricular experiences. So we have some inspirational students with us here today who have led committees, who have formed new clubs and societies, and we want them to tell us about those experiences. And of course, last but not the least, the most common question which we are asked is about the validity of the degree of liberal arts. Is liberal arts something that will make students employable? Is liberal arts something that will, open up the route for higher education, for good masters and, graduate programs? So that's the fourth aspect we want to talk about, which is the career opportunities that open up post liberal arts. And of course, in the end, we're going to speak about admissions and how students can look at really putting together a fantastic profile that is going to differentiate them from, the rest, because we are talking about some very competitive and selective colleges here. And our panelists have all, given those interviews that we want to know more about. So that's the last thing we're going to touch upon. Now I'm going to hand it over to Shivani to introduce our panelists.
Thank you so much, Kritika. I'm really glad that everyone here is here to talk about liberal arts and about such a fascinating topic. And we have some amazing people as panelists, and I would love to introduce them in no particular order. So first up, we have Aditya Dawn. I guess Dawn ko hum log ne pakad liya. Okay, so she's from MHS from Calcutta, and she actually took up science in MHS, and she went on to study liberal arts and in Ashoka University. She graduated in 2019, and her major was economics and finance. Now she's working at Xander Finance as a research analyst, and she was involved in a lot of extracurriculars on campus while at Ashoka, including the Ashoka Business Review, where she practically started it. So I guess you guys could ask a lot of questions to her about the campus societies and all that jazz. So thank you for coming, Aditya. Next up, we have Janesha. Janesha is also from MHS, and she took up commerce in 11th and 12th. She went to Flame University, and she graduated in 2019. Her major was digital marketing with an open minor, and currently she's working in Publicis Media as a social media analyst. And she was involved in sports event management and photography on campus while at Flame. So thank you so much, Janesha, for coming in.
Shivani, I'm going to pause you there. Janesha, yeah. Fun fact, I have worked with Publicis before.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to add that in. Continue.
Okay. So next up we have Tejashree. She's the third MHS representative here. So she also took up science and in MHS, and she went to St. Biases School of Liberal Arts. She actually graduated this year, and she has a very interesting major. She has a psychology major with business studies and anthropology as a double minor. And she'll be telling us about how she went about it, because it's a very unusual combination. And she will start interning at Cummins as a research intern this month. And she was also the student body president at SSLA. So yeah, so really, it's really great. It's really great to have you here. Next up, we have Ariman Trivedi. So he did his A levels with economics, English, business studies, global perspectives, and psychology. And he went to OP Jindal University. He graduated in 2020, this year itself. And his major was in pol science. He currently has a very interesting job profile. He's a visual content and social media podcast host at Compass Box Studio, which is an independent recording company. And I think it is extremely fascinating. While at Jindal, he was a cultural secretary, and he was in the Jindal filmmaking club, and also the social media head at Biswa Mill, which is their fest. So it's lovely to have you here, Ariman. So next up we have Akshat Motwani. So he's also Calcutta boy. He went to LMB, and he took up humanities in 11th and 12th. He is currently in Kriya. He's a rising second year student there, and he is looking to major in economics with a minor in sports, analytics, and computer science, which is a very interesting combination. We'll love to hear about it later. And he's currently working at he's interned at a bunch of places like marketing tech companies and foundations, and he's the sports representative and core committee member at different clubs in Kriya. So thank you for coming in, Akshat. Next up we have Sahima. Sahima took up commerce in her 11th and 12th, and she was in OP Jindal University. She graduated last year. Currently, she's a master's student at London School of Economics, and she's studying international relations, which is extremely interesting. And while at Jindal, she did a lot of research. She presented a lot of papers, which I'm sure she will give some insights about once we formally start the presentation. Then last but not the least, we have Aryan Yoskar. He comes from the IB background. He did economics, English, math, computer science, history, and Spanish. He's currently a second year student at Flame University. He has decided to take up this year an economics major and a literary and cultural studies minor, which is an extremely interesting combination. I think that is what liberal arts can offer to all of you. He's currently working at a charitable trust, and he's a part of the music club, philosophy club, gaming club, animal club, bunch of clubs at campus. So guys, these are the profiles of all of our speakers. You can check out the profiles on our social media page as well, and please start asking questions on the question panel here, or if you're watching through Facebook, so you can write the questions on the comments panel. And we will answer it after we're done with our agenda. For sure, we will answer it. And now we will move on to our icebreaker, which we are all really excited about. So I'm going to hand it over to Kritika to move that forward.
Super. So thank you, for that, Shivani. And when we said eclectic mix of majors and experiences, we really meant it. And after introducing our panelists, I hope, that we drove that point home. So we have a very, very fun rapid fire planned. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to ask 5 questions. And all our panelists have been asked to keep a paper and a pen with them. So when we ask them the question, they're going to put the answer down, and they're going to raise the question. They're going to raise their papers with their answers at the same time. So I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Yeah, exactly like that. I'm going to give all of you a few seconds. And after that, when I say, hey, we can, can we have the answers? We can all put up the answers together. So is that clear, everyone? All right, great. So the first question is, Well, what is that one word, that first word, that one word that comes to mind when you think about liberal arts? Whoa, okay, we can have our answers. Crazy, holistic, flexible,
Oh, wait.
multidisciplinary.
Okay, I need to mirror my thing once.
No, it's
Because,
coming properly.
oh, you can see it, right? Are you sure?
Exciting. Saima, I can't read yours. Comprehensive, all right. Multidisciplinary. Emmanuel can't stop. Okay, wow. Nice. Okay. So again, the idea is that that one word, or that first thought that comes to mind when we think about liberal arts, and from crazy to multidisciplinary to holistic to what all did we have? Flexible. So yeah, so well, these are actually what defines liberal arts, and we are going to be touching on all of these points in detail in a few minutes. The next question is, if your college were a movie, respective colleges, right? If your college were a movie or a TV show, right? Which one would it be?
There's some issue happening, I think.
It's been resolved.
Thanks, Avashi. We can put our answers up if we're done. Monsters University, Three Idiots / Community Chinchore. All right. SOTY, what was that? Student of the Year 2. Right. Three Idiots. Oh, we have two. Oh, wow. We have three idiots here. Okay, that's pretty fantastic. I hope you all found your Amir Khans, along with your respective Baman Iranis. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Ooh, that's really interesting. Ariman, that's a good one. That's a good one. I would love you to, explain that a little later. What was it that you were thinking when you put that? Okay, so third question is, what would be your most favorite, precious, cherished memory from college? Too many, right? I know. Tough one. And Saima, I noticed you put Student of the Year Part 2 and not Part 1. So I would also like to,
Yeah, sure. I'll elaborate on that. I wanted to put part 1, but then I put part 2 because there's a lot of drama. So I was like, what is it that could be although it doesn't represent completely, because there was a lot of studies also. When you think about this movie, it's all like dramatized versions of stuff. But
yeah. All right. Okay, so can we have our answers? College festivals and concerts. Nice, Arman. First ever cricket game that Kriya played. Oh my God, Aksha, that's a big one. 4 a.m. chai at dhaba. Nice, Advitya. Checking up to 3.5 on ghats plus late nights in apartments. Oh, I miss college now. Thanks for that, Janesha. I met my professor at a music festival. Best ever. Nice. Don't think I can bring it down to 1. Oh, I understand that, Tejashri. It's fine. I'm sure we're going to speak more about a lot of great memories. Did I cover everyone? Did I miss anyone? Saima, I think I missed yours.
I just wrote Biswami, which is like the Jindal Fest. So I've probably had like one of my best memories there. So I put in that one.
Okay, nice. Brilliant. And we are going to be obviously talking more about it. Shivani, were you saying something?
No, nothing.
Okay, great. So fourth question, guys. The best module that you took. Like, and I'm not talking about a major or a minor, but a particular course that you took. It could be for the course itself. Most of the times it is because of the professor teaching it. So for example, from, I was a business grad, computer science, psychology, marketing, but my most favorite module ever was ethics and social responsibility because of the way it was taught. Linguistics, nice. Interesting. Design thinking or ethics, nice. So we have the second ethics here. What is that? Marxist, the political thought, nice. And who was teaching it, Ariman? Were you taught in like the Socrates method?
Yeah, it was 3 legal professors. So the law professors essentially took the course for us with the
Nice.
history and, history, political thought, feminist theory, things like that.
Nice. Brilliant. Brilliant. Intro to literature and cultural studies. Super interesting. Customer and user experience. Oh, wow. So this is from like a UI UX perspective, Janisha?
It was a lot of, it was more customer experiences than like the interfaces. It
Yes.
was more about like why Starbucks is like why they call your name out in Starbucks the way they
Nice.
do. So things like
Nice. Oh, brilliant. Indian civilization.
Yeah. It
Wow.
was taught by Gopal Krishna Gandhi.
Oh, wow. No wonder.
It was amazing.
I'm sure. And Sahima? Women's?
So I don't think you're able to read what I've written so far, but anyway, so it's called Women's Movement in India. It was a module that I took from the law school, and it covered like the watershed feminist movements of India and like delving more into it. It's a super interesting module.
Really, really cool. Please do touch upon more of these when you guys are answering your questions. Okay, now the last one, which is, if you were to rate your experience on 10, past experience versus ongoing experience, respectively, what would it be?
Out of 10?
Out of
Yes.
10. Yeah.
Out of 10. And this is from all perspectives, of course. This is like just undergrad in general.
15 on 10.
Ooh, 8.32. 6.9, 8 out of 10, 11 out of 10. First year, 11 out of 10. All right. Oh, infinity out of 10. That's quite interesting. And we have, our numbers guru speaking here. So, of course, it is infinity on 10. Nice. So, I hope I covered everyone's. Okay, brilliant. So there was something being asked on the chat. Has that been sorted out in terms of everyone being able to view everything?
Yeah, everyone could just switch to gallery view. Then I guess everyone can see the entire panel.
Yeah. And if you're accessing the webinar through your phone, it is not going to be visible because, like how it works on the phone is different from how it would work on an iPad or a laptop. If you're on your laptops, just switch to gallery view and you'll be able to see all the panelists. All
Also,
right. So, yes.
please feel free to start addressing the questions. There are already questions coming in.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So how we're going to go about with the questions is that the way we have planned the panel is, with the aim that a lot of questions which are coming in will get answered as we move along and start answering, start addressing the different components of the panelists, of the panel. And towards the end, all the questions that have not been answered, we'll try and pick up as many as we can. And we're also going to try answering the questions as we move along with the panel. Yeah, so we're going to try our level best to answer as many as we can. Okay, so like I said, we are going to speak about 5 different aspects. So starting with academics, the academic experience at a liberal arts college. And our first speaker is Tejashree. And like we mentioned, Tejashree has a very, very unique combination of majors and minors. And Tejashree, if you could please, tell our students and parents how you went about, discovering that these are your interest areas and, what is happening with them now in your life? How has it impacted you?
All right. Firstly, am I audible? Can I just... Yeah, cool. Thank you for that introduction. So as Shivani already mentioned, I had a psychology major at Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts with a double minor in business studies and anthropology. Now, the first thought anyone who hears my combination would be like, but what do you do next? And how did you choose these subjects? So I am kind of here to sort of help you like show how you can go about this process and how I went across this process. Also had science in school, and I also had psychology, and I really like that subject. In Symbiosis has like a 4-year program, and in your first year, you, like other liberal arts programs also, you sort of engage in a lot of diverse fields, and even throughout the 4 years you see a lot of different fields, and then you sort of pick your interests and kind of amalgamate them and mix and match and get this sort of combination. And I really liked psychology, and I was always interested in business because I grew up in a very business oriented like environment because of my family. So I was really inclined towards business, and anthropology is something that I wanted to explore. And that was a subject that I had no idea about. Like, we had these major minor counselings that I think every college has as to what subjects you all should take, etc., etc. And in that, the professor was like, you know, in anthropology, it's like a way of looking at things. And if you take anthropology, you're just going to see the world completely differently. And after 4 years at SSLA, I feel like I can see the world so differently. Like, even though I can, like, you know, engage.
Tejashree, you just went on mute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I back? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So even though I have a business sort of, I can look at things from a business perspective, I can always apply the psychology and the mental processes and the anthropological and cultural perspective. And that's what makes liberal arts very unique. In addition to that, I have also engaged in a lot of research in the past 4 years because of the curriculum that I was a part of, with like a community outreach program, an internship, and then you have to write a seminar paper, dissertation, and there are a whole lot of sort of submissions and research papers that you'll be writing about, and I think that's unique to all colleges as well. So it's research intensive, but it's fun because you're going to learn everything like from different plates, and you're going to see a subject from a certain lens, and then at any given point of time you can change that lens, and that is the beauty of liberal arts. And that is why you can, like, you know, you can amalgamate these to create your own sort of combination and go ahead with it and explore it, which is, I think, the beauty of this entire stream. So, yeah.
Great.
So it has helped you with the way of life beyond.
Yeah, it definitely did. It really helped me, and it really opened my eyes towards a lot of, like, whole lot of issues and different things. And like, I have a completely different approach towards things now that I had like when I just got out of school as well. So it's like, yeah, it completely changes you. It helps you re-engineer, evolve, adapt, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, brilliantly explains your 11 on 10, Tejashree. Okay, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Moving to Advitya. Advitya, I am very, very often asked if liberal arts is all about the humanities, and is it all about arts? Is it only for students who, you know, want to specialize in the field of humanities? Is it good for people who are numerically inclined, who want to look at numerical rigor? And you, of course, you know, are studying economics and finance, have studied economics and finance. And, you know, like Shivani had introduced you and mentioned that you were also a science student, you know, back in Modern High. So can you explain how, you know, your learning from science, you know, kind of you used at Ashoka, and again, about your courses and modules and the numerical rigor in college?
Sure. All right. So I think, yeah, like you mentioned, I studied science in school, and then I went on to major in economics and finance from Ashoka. So I think the way science really helped me was because there are a couple of key skills that liberal arts universities really try to instill in you. Some of them are critical thinking, having an analytical bent of mind. And by this, I don't mean that you have to solve complex problems and know formulas, but just the ability to sort of be able to look at numbers and get a feel of what they mean. So I think science really, in high school at least, really sort of helps you quell that fear that you have with numbers. So I think that was a good starting point. Moving into Ashoka, I feel I was fairly certain that I was going to do economics, and but obviously, like, towards the beginning, they try to put in the really, you know, the tough mathematical, you know, the numerically rigorous courses like calculus and stuff like that. So the people who aren't really comfortable with that, they end up just moving out of the stream and going and doing something else. So that's an intentional thing that they do to prepare you for the tougher things that are going to come later on. Because I feel if you're not good with the numbers initially, later on when you start reading research papers and often you you'll be conducting your own data analysis and writing your own papers. You won't be able to do that if you're not sound or proficient or even comfortable with numbers. So I think my background in science helped. And also at Ashoka, there are a host of other majors as well, which are numerically rigorous, right? Like computer science, there's physics, there's mathematics as well. So liberal arts, and Ashoka is actually a liberal arts and sciences university. It doesn't call itself only liberal arts, but I feel in this entire phrase, liberal should be the one that you should be focusing on, because it allows you to look at a bunch of different things and helps you not just get breadth, but ultimately you also, through your time, I mean, 2 to 3 years or 4 years, you also develop that kind of depth. So I had this one question that, some of my friends ended up going to for economics, went to like, the really good universities in India, like SRC, Xavier's. And I had the question that they're going to study the same thing for 3 years. I'm going to do that for 2 years, and 1 year I'm just going to study everything else under the sun. So how does that make me, bring me to the same level as most of these other guys are? But I saw that the first year or the 1 semester that I spent studying all the different things helped me really look at economics through a different lens, which is not just numbers or, the technical aspects only. It gave me a lot of qualitative feel to why I was studying what I was. So I think if that helps answer the question that you had asked. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think that definitely does. And it also overlaps with what, Tejashi just said about, viewing the world differently and more holistically and, just opening your mind up and, all of that. So thank you so much, Aditya, for that. Okay. Akshat, coming to you. You again, have varied interests, and you spoke about sports analytics as an area that you would like to look at, at your master's level. So could you also speak about how you have gone ahead and explored interests in the first year, and what kind of majors and minors are you now looking at pursuing?
Right. Thanks for that lovely introduction, Shivani. But yeah, just a small change there. I'm majoring in econ with a minor in CS, and I do intend to do sports analytics in the future. So very similar to what Aditya and Tejashi said, Kriya's first year is a foundation year where you're sort of exposed to like a plethora of different perspectives or different lenses, right? And that sort of gives you a very robust sort of grounding before you go on to your major. And this journey towards like sports analytics started in a class called data analytics, which is taught by someone called Professor Anand. And a reason as to why I joined Kriya was because I knew that there's going to be a lot of attention being the foundation batch. So I was very passionate about cricket, and I played at a national level when I was in school. And so my final project in data analytics was studying the data of the women's game in the last 5 years. And what Kriya actually did was, once I published that sort of report, they sent it across to the BCCI. So I think that's the advantage that you have going to a college, which like gives you so much sort of attention. And yeah, coming to like a personal journey where economics is concerned, I always knew I wanted to do economics because in school I had econ, math, CS, though I was a humanities subject. So La Martiniere gave me that flexibility as well. But I think that first year, again, it sort of made me look at econ through like a different sort of perspective. And that sort of bolstered my interest in econ, because I realized that, these subjects are out of my comfort zone, and like that's not something that I really want to meddle in, even though I'm sort of open to it. So that again sort of bolstered my interest towards econ. What was reassuring about the curriculum were the people that were backing it. So I had economists like Raghuram Rajan, like Pranab Bardhan, like Fields medalists like Manjul Bhargav, all of them who've actually like sat down at universities like Stanford, Harvard, U Chicago, and like given like their thumbs up to the curriculum. So yeah, I think that was my first year journey encapsulated. Yeah.
Brilliant. Akshat, just a follow-up question there. Have you already also taken up a lot of your computer science electives yet?
Right. So your foundational year sort of stretches across both paradigms, right? The arts as well as the sciences. Like Aditya said, it's liberal arts and sciences, and people often like think about it as just liberal arts. So you form this imagery of like only the humanities subjects in your head. But what Kriya has done is that within your sort of foundations, you have introduction to CS, and you're taught Python there, which is probably the most popular programming language currently. And you also have subjects like data analytics, and it's probably like the only school that teaches data analytics at a foundational level to a UG kid. So you're going in as a 17, 18-year-old and studying data analytics. And you also have a math course, which is like number theory, probability, and stuff like that. So I did take a number of courses in computer science through the foundational course. And the beauty of these foundational courses is that everyone has to take it, irrespective of the background you come from, whether you come from an ISC, CBSC, IB. So like you all sort of started from scratch. They believe in deconstruction. So like the lesser knowledge of a subject you come with, the better, because then they can sort of like construct that pillar for you.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
I hope that answers your question, Kritika.
Absolutely. And I think you left it at, you know, that really, really important note, which is unlearning a few things that you have learned and learning it from, you know, an altogether new perspective. So thank you so much, all of you. Now I'm going to quickly, you know, look at Aryan speaking about his experience. And, you know, you've obviously been a part of a lot of clubs, but you also have a very, very, you know, interesting minor, which is cultural studies. So could you also just speak about that and, you know, how it fits in with your major?
Right. So initially I said in 11th and 12th, I had taken economics, HL and IB, and I really thought that I would be doing a business side of economics, right? But in between my, in between when my university started and my IB ended, I had done a 2-month internship as well. And that internship included me studying behavioral economics and conducting like tests and all sorts of other things for, so essentially, I got, it really piqued my interest in behavioral economics, because behavioral economics is kind of the gray area between economics and psychology, where you understand the reasons for people's making decisions, right? And that really piqued my interest. And LCS is one of the courses, which stands for Literary and Cultural Studies, where you really analyze literature that is written by people, like historically as well. But apart from that, it's also a very local cultural analysis of things that are happening, like all sorts of things. You can have like movies and music and like everything that represents the culture of a place, whether it be local or abroad, right? And that sort of understanding really helps you realize people's intentions for making decisions. And I thought it would be a good combination to economics as well, because that would kind of combine itself to go up to behavioral economics in general. With regards to the clubs, Flame really encourages you to join a lot of clubs. And there's like so many clubs, like you can't count. More than just the number of clubs, there's a desire for people in those clubs for you to join them and really work in the club as, okay, I'm just rambling at this point, but essentially the clubs are just really, really cool, and all of them understand the workload that you have. They'll help you outside of the club as well, by being mentors and like helping you out in general. And they'll also try to negotiate with other clubs how to spend your time and all sorts of things. Like it's really wholesome. It's amazing.
Excellent. Thank you, Aryan. So that is what, you know, we wanted to touch upon, you know, from the academics perspective. Now, quickly moving into campus life and, you know, student culture. Sahima, you have presented papers not once, but multiple times. And, you know, you've also been an integral part of, you know, the student community. So please take us through that journey of yours.
Okay, so specifically talking about the campus life and like the facilities that they have, I think one of the things that I really, really appreciated now Jindal is in Sonipat, right? When you think about Sonipat, you think, where am I? Like, I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. But when you enter, it's like a world within a world, because you always have something happening. Either you have like college fests happening, or you have, my favorite part of my undergrad was like attending sessions. So there would be sessions organized by the Law Society, different schools, the law school, Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, and the journalism school. So all of them, I think it was really interesting to just go and sit and just hear what people, scholars, academics had to say. With regards to specifically like presentation of like your papers and, you know, other research work that you undertake, I think one of the good parts about Jindal is that it has a lot of research centers. Yes. So either there are postings that are calling people like, come please, you know, act as a research assistant or something, or you can directly even approach whichever center that you like and say, I would be interested in working for you. As per the thing of like presenting a paper, it was actually sort of a compulsory part of GSLH, where we had to like you had to present your paper twice. Once you would do it in like your like third year, first semester, and then again you would do like your final thesis. So it's really interesting. And just like it gave me a lot of confidence to talk about my work in front of course, like my teachers and everyone, but other people. You know, it gives you a sort of like just that what you're doing, you're on the right track. And yeah, I think even in terms of, I think infrastructure, Jindal is very, very good. They've kind of really, whatever you need, they are providing that on campus, I think. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Sahima. Aryaman. Again, cultural secretary. So please talk about all the things that you were up to in college.
Well, I mean, kind of similar to what Sahima said. I think for me, the biggest takeaway I got from pursuing liberal arts is that I got to make it the way I wanted it to, which I think is constant for any college experience. How you choose to mold it in your own specific way ultimately determines what you take from it. For me, with regards to cultural life, I've always been essentially a collaborative person. So anytime it's engaging with clubs, with committees, with music festivals, with college festivals, I've always been in my element, because you get to sort of take and see other people's talents and work together with them. So what Jindal was it was interesting for me because I got to see other people's talents and experiences with regard to production, with regard to facilitating certain artists, certain cultural acts come together. And it really, beyond just the classroom setting, which obviously is a very important part of college, I think putting myself headfirst into various committee work really kept me occupied, and it allowed me to learn a lot through not just simply through sitting in a classroom, but through actually working together with people and learning how they operate and what are the sort of life skills required in that. So I think cultural life is, I think, almost equally as important as academic life in various settings. So
Yes.
yeah, that's my answer.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Aryaman. And shifting focus to now sports. Again, Akshat, you did speak about, how you lay the foundation for a lot of things, cricket and all of that. So again, could you just speak about how you added to campus life and vice versa?
Right, so I think most of us are quite fortunate going to liberal arts schools because like the infra is great there. So like even with Kriya, even though like it's a new school, we have like a 40-acre campus, and we have another campus which is coming up. But again, world-class amenities, world-class like sporting facilities. We have a water body throughout the campus, so it's like beautiful. It's wonderful. Like you love like just going there and like losing yourself amidst nature. So I think that sort of setting gives you a great chance to like sort of pursue sport, even if it's not pursuing it at a professional level, because like unfortunately in India there is no sport at a college professional level. So we do play a lot of sport. We play amongst ourselves, obviously, like every day. You have like student-run coaching camps. You have professional coaches coming in. So yeah, we try and like get people who've never played sport to play sport, as well as people who played at a certain proficiency to like continue playing at that proficiency given the current limitations of Indian college sport. And yeah, like sort of connecting that to like the cohort, I think very, very, very talented cohort at Kriya, even though it's the first batch and just like 113 kids. You have like people representing like 20 different states, so you have diversity. And within your batch, you have people who've like who are nationally acclaimed musicians, who have like entrepreneurs, who are entrepreneurs who are known in their cities. You have sports stars who've like played soccer for like professional clubs abroad. You have national level cricketers. So it really like bolsters you. And I think one thing I'd like to say to like all the attendees here is that if your cohort doesn't push you to like strive for greater excellence, you're in the wrong college. So like choose your college accordingly.
Absolutely, Akshat. And, that's something we always speak about to our students, that, your college network is going to be extremely, extremely valuable. So put yourself in a place that inspires you. And swiftly moving to Janesha. Janesha, why don't you speak about, your campus experience and your love for photography, how it was accentuated on campus and everything else?
So what Flame did for me was, I've always been a co-curricular plus an academic person. I can't only study or only play. And I've been like that from school. Like in school also, everyone was like, oh, either see me dancing or like I'm covering some event that's happening in school. And that carried on to Flame. And because of where Flame is and because of how the campus is,
Yeah.
it just pushed me to pursue photography even more. So much so that towards the end of like in my third year, I was professionally shooting. I did a couple of product shoots for a couple of brands, and I met those people through campus because of everything that kept happening on campus. Our campus has, you know, a lot of clubs like we have an entrepreneurship lab, so they increased all of that, and we basically allowed us to meet more people, and just the overall opportunity that came from Flame was like everyone else before me already said, it molded me. It taught me how to unlearn and learn again and adapt into things I never thought I would become at the end of 3 years, and that I've carried with me onto my life today. And so Flame has this very other interesting thing, which I was a part of luckily, called a peer mentor program, where all the first years are assigned to a senior from the second or the third year, and they help you ease into campus life, because there are a lot of things that you won't be very comfortable talking to your professors, or you know, you can't talk to anyone about it at home, but you have your seniors who've been through everything in their first year or in their years in college. So I was also a peer mentor in my second year, and those kids still call me, and you know, they get back to me with, oh, you know, how did you do this, and you know, how can I do it better. And I've made, and they might be juniors, but they're also like my closest friends from college. So I think overall it was a brilliant experience.
Amazing. Thank you, Janisha. Okay, now moving into, I mean, obviously we were speaking about campus life, which already has a large part of like clubs and extracurriculars, but now solely focusing on clubs and societies and how that has, you know, added to your resume, helped you with your internships, jobs, you know, decision for your masters. So I'm going to start with Advitya, who was, you know, an integral part of laying the foundation of the business club at Ashoka. So Advitya, please share with us your experience and how it has helped you with everything else forward.
Sure. Just a small correction. So I wasn't technically involved with laying the foundation of the business club, but I'll just touch upon some of the other things, the other clubs that I was a part of. If
All
that's
right.
okay.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah. So I think more than the business club, what took up most of my time outside the classroom at Ashoka was ultimate frisbee, and that's a sport that I picked up at Ashoka. It was introduced to me the first week into college, and it has stayed with me till now, because after I moved to Mumbai for my work, I joined the club team there. So it's a close part of, you know, my college experience, and I feel like sports, at least ultimate frisbee, isn't something that, you know, I didn't even knew it existed before. So it didn't come across as something, and it's also a gender neutral and non-contact sport.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't tried it before, who have never played sports before, they can also try it out. So I thought it was a great thing to do beyond just, you know, being in a classroom, because even most of the other extracurriculars, you know, when you meet, it's for a meeting, or you get like you have events, but it doesn't involve a lot of physical activity. I feel because of ultimate frisbee, I did step out of university a lot, because we used to travel for tournaments with my team. So my team also happens to be the closest people, you know, that I have that I have good relationships with and fond memories with as well. Apart from that, like the other two panelists from OP Jindal mentioned, Sonipat is in the middle of nowhere. And often you feel that within the, you know, realms of the university, it feels almost like a bubble, because the moment you step out, there's a village, and you're extremely privileged to be within that, you know, those four walls that you are in. So from the perspective of being able to just be a little more close to reality, I was a part of the first, okay, so that you can consider as founding, but the core team for the Rotaract Club. There are a bunch of other social service related or social work related clubs on campus as well, and they're doing great work. But I felt that was a great way of engaging with the community around us. And most of, like, I'm sure even Jindal does it, but it's important because they've given us this space in their area, in their, the heart of where they live, for us to, you know, build a huge private university. So it's important to be able to give back to that kind of a society that you share the same space. So I think a mix of both was a great experience for me at Ashoka.
Excellent and sounds phenomenal. Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Tejashri, okay, why don't you share?
Hi.
Student body president.
Hi. So I became student body president, not like boasting or flexing over here, but like in the fourth year, which is my final year with SSLA. And before that, I'd just like to say that, clubs and societies and whatever you participate in college, apart from your academics, is like a journey that you take up in your first year, and how you move forward and how you evolve and you see what you want to do. I remember in my first year, I was a part of all clubs. Like literally, I'm not even kidding. I used to like love being like, just like Janesha said, how she was in academics and co-curricular, something similar for me as well. So I just joined all clubs that I liked. I couldn't do it. I was just there, and it really helps you to meet your seniors, your juniors, your batchmates, everyone. It was just like a really good place to be in. And that's how, like, and even in school, I used to, I used to like standing for leadership posts. I don't know how to phrase that, but yeah, so that sort of pushed me to go for an interview for the campus officer in my first year, and then be part of the student council. And in my third year, again, I was elected as batch representative. And how I worked and how I was involved in activities and fests that kept happening. There are multiple sort of fests happening in Symbiosis all the time. Like at some given point of the time in the year, Symbiosis will always be having a flame, and for all the other times, flame will be having something else. So, I mean, there's something or the other always going on in Pune. So, we keep on, like, you just run into people and you keep doing different things. And it's not that you always have to participate. It's also important to see the backstage work. It's also important to see the logistics. It's not just important to be on stage. It's important to organize stuff as well. So college really molds you to do all of that. And it's a journey that teaches you. And that's what I learned as student body president as well. Like you need to go in, you have to work in collaboration. You can't be working in isolation. Like there are multiple clubs and societies in every college. But it's important for all clubs, colleges, all clubs to come together, all societies to come together and work as one at the end of the day. And that's what matters. And that's what I was like, that's what I took away from this entire experience. And collaboration is something so important, even in the real world when you get out of college, that you alone can't be, like, you're not as strong as all of us. So you have to be going forward as a collaboration. And you might be great at some stuff, but you can't be like at the top of all, like everything. So it's really important to work in tandem with everyone and go forward. And it's a process that you learn from your first year. You see your seniors do it and you just move forward with it, and you gather experience to just climb up the ladder, I guess.
Excellent. I think that was very, very detailed and motivating. And, students who are looking
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So students who are looking to start with college this year, you know what you have to do. And students who are looking to start college maybe next year, maybe in the next 2-3 years, it's really important to start, building on your coordination, collaboration, teamwork skills, and just being proactive from school itself, so that by the time you reach college, you can pick up these opportunities and make the most of them. And with that, I'm going to move to Ariman to speak about how he has made the most of his, time in college and some brilliant things that he's been up to from an extracurricular perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Kritika. I think Tejashri covered a lot of important points. For me personally, when I entered college in my first year, ironically, it really shaped my personal music taste as well, which is something that I didn't expect it to. And because we had the privilege of getting, world-class artists like Pratik Kuwad, like Peter Cat Recording Company, come to campus and perform. And I jumped at the opportunity to work as master of ceremonies, presenter for things like Battle of the Bands, through obviously the Music Society. So I got the unique opportunity to work very closely with these artists that I ended up, admiring and looking up to. And that ultimately, in the career that I've chosen now, working in the music industry, that's helped me a lot because, like Tejashri mentioned, it's almost like a learning ground for how real life ultimately operates. So dealing with sponsors, dealing with the bureaucracy involved in college procedures, it gets tedious, I won't lie, but those are the kind of skills that you ultimately develop by working in the professional setting of these committees and these clubs. So for me personally, I learned a lot of important skills and attitudes that I've always applied in the career that I'm in right now. And I think ultimately my biggest takeaway from participating in these extracurricular activities was that it like Tejasri also mentioned, it's sort of like the journey that college ultimately takes with you, that it shapes things like your preference in music, like your preference in politics, like your preference in social groups. So it's a really a cumulative effect that engaging in these co-curricular activities really does to your own idea of what education can offer. So I was really grateful to be a part of these co-curricular activities.
Excellent. I think it's not just about being grateful for being a part of it, but it's also about, like we discussed, grabbing those opportunities and, genuinely dedicating time and effort into it. So that's really inspiring. And Aryan, Philosophy Club, I really want to know what happens there.
Right. So in Philosophy Club, more often than not, like we take things that we've heard in our classes as well, like say LCS or ethics or any all sorts of these other classes, and we really put them into deeper discussion than we would have in class, right? Or we try to understand say we're discussing a philosopher or whatnot, right? Or what he, she did. We essentially just break down what their thought process was, but not just from the content alone, but their environment at the time.
The external factors, what shaped their thinking.
Sure. Yeah, essentially. Like who they are, what's their gender, where did they live, where did they come from, how old they were, who were their parents, and like take all of these considerations and like take into like try to give and take how much like it would have influenced their thought process, right? And like we do that, that's just one of the things that we do there. Like Philosophy Club is just like full of surprises. Like there's all sorts of things that people discuss, like from basic teacher behavior or like power dynamic between students and teachers, or peer mentors and students, and like all sorts of things that how we really function in a society, right? And things that just happen without us realizing them, essentially, but trying to actively think about how it began.
Right.
It's just one of the is I think the best way I can explain it at this moment in time.
Right.
But with examples or like just join the club. That's like that's just the best part, I suppose.
Yeah, and that too, like Philosophy Club on the side with music and gaming. So I guess that's a good mix. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we also like break down games, like how does the like gaming content work, and how do bands like Incubus or like other sorts of like bands, how do they create their music? Like where do they get these ideas? Like what's going on in their minds, essentially.
Yeah.
That sounds more psychology than it does philosophy, but I'm sorry for the poor explanation, I suppose.
No, but I think we get the drift, of course. There's a lot of thought, active debate and discussion involved, and really trying to get to the depth of it. And so I think that was really well explained, Aryan. Now coming to, like I said, the question that we are most often asked: what is the validity of the liberal arts degree? Will it get me a job? Will it get me internships? Will it lead me to good universities for my master's? So Janesha, let's start with you, and let's hear all about what you are currently doing and how your Flame experience has, kind of molded this for you, and how it has helped you at work.
So I started off with actually a major in math, because I was always very, very into math. And then I was like, okay, this is probably not what I thought it would be. And my minor at that time was digital marketing, because I was like, okay, this is something that I know I'm genuinely interested in and I enjoy. Like, because I used to read about it, I used to see my seniors study, and I used to see their assignments, and I'm like, okay, this is so practical. Like, I'm applying now in college what I'm actually going to apply when I'm working as well. So, and I always, like I mentioned earlier, I was a very I can't rote learn. I've always been a very practical study person. So I'm like, okay, this interested me as well. So I went up to my dean, and I'm like, okay, so I can't. And my dean happened to be a mathematics professor as well. So I went up to him and I was like, so I can't do this. I just said, I can't do this. He's like, okay, switch. And I switched my major minor, like just like that. I just switched my major minor in my second semester. And what happened then onwards was, so for digital marketing, there weren't any professors. There were only 2 professors on campus. Everything else was all visiting faculty. So our courses were designed in such a way that allowed people in the industry to come and teach us, which allowed us to come in contact with people who are doing what we see ourselves doing, and not only as an agency or at a brand level, but also at different levels of an agency. Say someone who was the head of an agency, someone who just started working in an agency, someone who started their own agency, at all different things. So that gave us a lot of perspective of how the industry works and allowed us to get in contact with people who we would see ourselves working with, which is what happened to me. These professors from Publicis, so we had 2 people, 2 of our professors come in from Publicis, and they took about 3 courses for us, and because we are a very small class, so they knew each of us personally, which means all of us got personal feedback, and that allowed all of us to, we could call them up on a weekend and say that, so can you give us a solution? And because they knew all of us, they said, okay, my company has an opening, and just come apply. And all of us applied, like 2 of us applied, all of us, like everyone had different plans, but 2 of us applied, and we got the job that we did. And I think that whole exposure, the visiting faculty, everyone come in and teach us, did really good for all of us.
Right. And I think the really important thing that you mentioned was that, people who are working in the industry were coming and teaching you.
Yeah.
And so you really, get that first-hand experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So we were being taught what we're expected to apply at the job.
Excellent. And that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for explaining that, Janesha. And Sahima, London School of Economics is a dream university for many, many, many students. And, that is where, life took you after Jindal. And we want to hear more about what was the role that Jindal played in, getting you there.
Sure. So basically, I went from a CBSE background to a liberal arts background, and then again to an LSE, very rigorous academic background. I think what Jindal did to me was, initially, I remember my very first class, I remember telling my professor, I don't know how to write an academic essay because CBSE does not teach you all of this. I was very scared because I just didn't know how I'm going to manage with this kind of, because what I'm trying to say is that the education that they expect you is very, very multidisciplinary. You cannot mug up stuff. You have to think critically. So I think the foregrounding that these 3 years gave me to sort of understand things from not a very myopic point of view, but be open to like other things within the field is what actually helped me when I started LSE last year. So I don't think so if I wouldn't have had the education that I had in the last 3 years, I would really be able to. It wasn't easy this past 1 year, also keeping apart the fact that it's a pandemic in which I had to do my master's in, but just the kind of basic understanding of multiple subjects that it gave me actually helped me connect when I finally focused on international relations as, the area that I want to specialize in. And one thing that I made sure when I was doing my undergrad was that I take up literally modules that excite me, that make me question what I'm doing. Yeah. So those modules again give a very strong, just like a base. Another thing that I think really helped me was that as part of the JSLH curriculum, you have to do 4 internships by the end of like the 3 years. So I picked up like different internships according to my interests. Like once I worked with a feminist organization in India, then I worked with like the government to see like how policy works. So I compiled all of them, and I think it was an amalgamation finally of a practical internship kind of an understanding, and then the academic, and then they just blend together to sort of help me navigate my way through LSE. I think it also, so what happens is when you apply to any top tier university in the UK, your grades are very, very important. I'm not going to take that away, but they just don't want any kid with like a high GPA. You need to bring something more to the table. And I think when I was applying to LSE, I was obviously questioning, okay, what is it that I'm bringing to the table that a million other people won't? And I realized I do have a liberal arts background. I have done these internships. I have these extremely interesting list of modules that I have done. So I think, I think when you go for like your master's, your like your admissions team will look at, okay, what are you beyond just like academics? I think that also helped.
Absolutely, because liberal arts doesn't leave you with a choice but to, build a robust, varied profile.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that it is also a lot about what you make of it, because I mean, you have this, I think it's like you've been given everything on a platter. You have to literally pick and choose according to what you like. So I think that's probably the best thing about liberal arts. You do what you like, and then you go in for whatever you want. So I think,
Okay, excellent. Thank you for that, Sahima. And Ariman, we want to know more about the work that you're doing, and again how college shaped you into being prepared for this career, or discovering this career interest in the first place. Yeah.
Right. So I currently work at this independent music recording studio in Ahmedabad called Compass Box Studio. Essentially, we try and promote independent artists and give them an opportunity to professionally record and produce their own music. And again, it's kind of like what Saima said, I was also lucky enough to intern at this studio before I ultimately worked with them. I think it was very different from what I majored in college. I majored in political science, and I always wore that fact on my sleeve that academic rigor is just as important as extracurricular. But I will still stress on, at least personally speaking, on the need to balance both. I was always influenced by the cultural elements and activities happening around me as much as I was by the academic. So I think ultimately when I started working with this job, I noticed that there's a lot that I can bounce back from what I learned in college and how I can apply it in my job right now. For example, we recently started writing about music and sort of, it's almost like music journalism, but with a more personal element towards it. And I noticed my personal experience with the political landscape of India right now ultimately shaped how I perceive music. For example, with the recent anti-CAA protests, I noticed there was a large, a surge in the amount of resistance art that was being promoted, and connecting that to sort of my background in political science. It was an interesting perspective for me to look at. So I won't say that that's the case for everyone. Ultimately, what you study in college, like Saima mentioned, does determine what you choose to pursue in higher education after that. But I was lucky enough to find a unique sort of corner, and that managed to sort of allowed me to exercise my passion in a completely different way. So I think the biggest takeaway I can offer is that always go for something that you're genuinely passionate about, and not necessarily something that you think might help you out in the future.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Ariman. And Advitya, okay. Your work, and like I said, you're the numbers, you're the person who I'm using to convince students and parents that, numerical rigor is a part of liberal arts and sciences. And we want you to speak about, your work, and again, how the training provided to you at college has helped you get there.
Sure. So I'm currently working in the financial services sector. I work with an investment management firm, which is based out of Singapore, but they invest in real estate in India. So I think from the perspective of Ashoka preparing me for this, economics was a great choice, and especially my specialization in finance, because not only did it teach me the basic principles of businesses and how businesses are run and things like that, but finance also gave me a lot of hard skills like Excel and data analysis and things like that, which I use on a day-to-day basis in my job. Having said that, I also feel that when you graduate from university at an undergraduate level, they're not really recruiters are increasingly not looking for specialists, because you're probably 22 years old. They're looking for people who are hungry to learn something, who are sharp, who have basic skills like problem solving ability, critical thinking, and good communication skills. So apart from just being good with numbers, I think these are skills that recruiters also look at, and that is what liberal arts universities are amazing at sort of instilling in their students. It's not just about being good at the subject, which is why a lot of great companies and organizations, global MNCs as well, end up coming to Ashoka or any of the other universities here, whereas they don't go to a lot of colleges which have which offer professional degrees as well. So they could be more thorough with the subject matter, but that's not the be all end all of this of a recruitment process or on a recruiter's mind. So I think those factors are also as important as your ability to, number crunching and crunch numbers, and the hard skills. Soft skills are equally important, which I feel exposure to different subjects, interacting with great faculty, and the exposure that liberal arts universities really help with that as well. So employable for sure.
Please note that, guys, employable for sure. And with that, I feel hopefully we've managed to cover some very, very important aspects of Saima, you want to say something? Please.
Yeah, just a quick point. So because I've done this twice in my life, like I just finished my master's like 3 days ago, and I was applying for jobs right after I finished my undergrad, which is last year, but that's before I found out about my admissions, and then now I'm doing it again. And there's one thing that I can say, that that as the last panelist sort of emphasized on soft skills, I think liberal arts helped me to understand how to learn. When you come from I don't wish to like demean people who are studying in CBSE background, because I had to but sort of unlearn my ways of so many years of education to actually understand, okay, I need the skills of critical thinking and very problem solving and everything. And today when I go to the recruiters after they see my CV and they call me in for like my interview, they don't look at the CV. They ask me, okay, so who are you and what have you learned and what were those 3 years of maybe undergrad or masters for you? They really are not only interested in, okay, I went to this university, I have this degree. They will always look for more. So if you don't find that factor in you, which I think a liberal arts education will enable, then I don't know what to say to the recruiters. But I mean, that was my personal experience with them.
Yeah, so that definitely is a very, very important factor. In fact, the colleges themselves are going to be addressing our students tomorrow, and they are going to be speaking about, this interdisciplinary learning and soft skills, that all of you have mentioned. And the reason why, yes, Tejashree, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just to add to what Saima also said, I think it's really important to create your niche after college is over, and that's what liberal arts equips you to do in the real world. And just to give you my own little example that I have from the last 1 month, the internship that I'm going to do is a really different internship from what others in my college are doing right now. It's a research internship, and it kind of focuses on business, anthropology, and psychology. So I have this is some sort of way I've been able to create my own niche, even though it's through an internship. I really want to explore that sort of field. So it really helps you explore, and it helps you narrow down what you like. So yeah, go ahead with what you want to do at the end of the day.
Excellent. And that's what liberal arts is all about, finding your passion and finding your interests. So hopefully we've covered all of these aspects, and I mean, you guys have been doing a phenomenal job with even answering the questions, on the go. So thanks a ton for that. We don't have a lot of time left. I do want each one of you to quickly, one tip, probably pro tip each, for our students who are looking to crack, getting admitted into these colleges. So what worked for you personally? Maybe your interview experience, because again, that is something that, a lot of students do get a little bit afraid of, sitting in for that personal interview. So, maybe we could start with Janesha.
So my essay honestly was rubbish. I wasn't prepared, and I was 100% sure that I don't want to go to FLAME because that was my absolute last option. But I went for it anyway, and my essay honestly was the worst I could have ever done. But what helped me, so my interview, I was just honest. I was just myself. And and my interview honestly was not more than 5 minutes from what I remember. And I was just honest, and I showed them who I was. That's it. So just be true to yourself at the interviews.
Okay, thanks for that, Janesha. Sahima?
Yeah. So I think adding on to that, I think the most important component of the admissions process is your essay. I'm not saying that your CV and your grades and they don't matter, but I think the universities are looking to know who you really are. And that's the only place you can actually explain that is the essay. I think my essay worked when I was applying for undergrad. And then again, my essay worked when I was applying for my master's. So, I mean, last year, I think the component that I spent the maximum edits and time on was my essay, because I mean, they will just look at your CV and be like, yeah, they match this person, because, you fall under, okay, these are the grades. But when you're applying for a subject, say whatever, I did international relations. So I had to draw from my personal experience of why I want to do and what is it that I'm bringing to LSE because of which they should take me. So just your personal story will really, really help you in, I think, getting through. Just, yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Sahima. Aryan?
Yeah, so when I did get into Flame, well, I wasn't expecting that I would get in, just like Janesha. And I don't think my essay was really good either. Like, I think it was mediocre at the very least. But I did do an English literature in Ivy, so I knew how to like make it sound fancy. So I definitely think that helped. But I definitely think my interview was the reason that I got in, because I just let them see everything for the most part, be incredibly transparent about, and be honest and truthful about what they're asking you, and say the first thing that comes into your mind if it's not profanity. Yeah, that's about it really. Like, if you're honest and you're not afraid of them seeing you as who you are, then they'll most likely see the courage in that for the most part, and they'll respect you for it. And that's definitely one of the main reasons I got in.
Okay.
I think, at least.
Okay. Thanks for that, Aryan. Aryaman, what about you?
I think the only advice I'd like to offer to prospective students is no institution, whether that's a university or a job or an organization, expects you to be a complete person by the time you're applying. So show eagerness to grow, show eagerness to learn more. And like Aryan said, be transparent, because ultimately honesty and a willingness to become a better, I guess, person, a better learner is something that people really find valuable. So don't expect to have the highest of grades, the perfect CV, the perfect whatever, right? I think an eagerness to grow is ultimately what's appealing.
Excellent. Thank you. Akshat.
Right. Again, what I'll say, I think resonate with whatever everyone else has said. But yeah, be as genuine as possible. Put your passions out there. It's very important to know how to market what you're passionate about. So I think put that out there. And I think the third point, again, like Aryaman said, you need to have that quench or that desire to know more, which is very, very important. And you need to put that out there during your interview process. Kritika, with your permission, if I could just deconstruct the Kriya sort of admissions, because it's very different from your stereotypical
Please do.
admissions. So we have something called a KIC, which is your Kriya Emotion case, where you're essentially taken on a field trip, and you have these 21 different parameters across which you're sort of evaluated. So it's not just your academics, because your academics are one component of those 21 different parameters. You have a reflective essay on that field trip. You have a quant test. Again, emphasis is not given on the math, but the reasoning behind the math, which is very important. You have again, a personal discussion. We don't really call it an interview, but it's quite a chill setting with 2 faculty members where you talk to them about your life, your journey, and what your ambitions are in the future. And what sort of stands out in this sort of conversation is them sort of asking you what Kriya can do for you, rather than how you will have an impact on Kriya and the pedagogy there. And I think that sort of tops up the admissions process. One very important thing for prospective students applying to Kriya, it's on a trimester. So that essentially means that every 6 weeks you have a set of examinations. You have your midterms, you have your exams into 3. So it is an extremely academically rigorous institution. But I'm not trying to say it's not fun, because you learn how to have fun with your academics, and you go on this entire academic journey. So yeah, I hope that helps you all with your sort of application procedures.
Thank you so much for that, Akshat. Advitya.
Right. I think everyone covered a lot of the different things. But I think one thing that I'd like to highlight is the fact that you should know the university really well. Do your research well. Don't, I think that's an underrated advice that is given. But at interviews, just like when you apply to an organization, you know why you're applying to that organization and why, you want them to employ you. The same applies for universities, because they want to know that you're not just hungry for the knowledge that they'll provide to you, but also you're hungry to be a part of that alumni base, that university in general. So understand the history of how the university was set up, understand the different courses and the faculty, and have pointed questions to ask them at the end. So when they open it up at the end, when they say, do you have any questions for us? Make sure you don't, at least ask something. It's your chance to ask intelligent questions and to put them in a spot as well. So you should make them as uncomfortable as they make you. So I think that's a good way to end an interview and also to leave a lasting impression. That's something.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Advitya. And that's actually a very, very tricky situation where students have to ask questions to colleges. So of course, please ask a question. And it's also very important to word that question right and to not mix up colleges and not ask them about something that you already know is on the website. So again, lots of things to consider there. Your research also gets very brightly reflected through the question you're asking. So thanks for that. And Tejashree, okay, Aryan has a point to make there.
Right, hold on. So I've seen this happen, but in school and everything, people tell you to like ask questions, right? Teachers are like, yeah, we'll gladly answer all of your questions and we'll be happy if you ask questions. But the thing is, don't ask the question for the sake of asking the question.
Yes.
Like that's one, like just like you said, like don't ask something that's already there on the website. Like ask something they would want to answer.
Yeah.
Like that's just like one important thing.
Of course, and something that is obvious that will be of interest to the student. Like, the interview already knows me as a student. And if there's a question I'm asking, it has to be something that will impact me, in one way.
Definitely.
Not just because I want to sound over smart that I'm asking this question. Yeah, so definitely, Aryan. And Sahima, you have a point?
Just adding to what we've just spoken about, asking university the questions. So I will talk about that in context to not an interview, but when you're writing your essay. I think while they might ask you questions about why you want to do X course and tell us who you are, very important, answer that, but you also need to know about the university and somehow put that in the essay of why that university, which again comes to, okay, you have to do your research. But I think one tip I would add here is the more interest you show in the faculty, the better it gets. Because like, for example, like when I applied for my master's right now, I went on the website and I checked all the faculty members. I saw their research interest and I was like, okay, hey, I like this. And then I went and saw their articles and I read about it. And then I wrote back about that experience, about reading what they had written and why I found interesting and how that matches my own maybe life experiences somewhere I have worked. That is going to work. Like just saying that, yeah, but like you have a very good, I don't know, happening campus, or just a lame thing that you write will not work. It really has to connect with the professor or just the committee in general, I feel.
And back to you, of course. Right. Yeah. Excellent. Tejashree.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, so I think everyone's covered most of the points that like are important over here. Apart from that, like what Advitya said about questioning past structures, it is important, but yeah, you should be mindful of the questions you're asking. So that is one thing that you should note. And apart from that, like I don't think liberal arts like interviewers are per se seeing students to fit a certain sort of persona. You're sort of creating your own identity over there, and that's the important part of this entire system of education that liberal arts is trying to get into India through the various colleges that are present, like students from various colleges that are present here. So what is important, like Janesha pointed out at first, is to be honest, because they don't expect you to have the knowledge of the subjects that you're going to study in college, because you will be taking that as your major, as your minor, electives, course, etc. in the 3 or 4 years that you are in college. But it's important for you to show that you are curious, and as Ariman also pointed out, you're curious and you have the courage to, follow that curiosity, and you want to like go ahead with it. You want to learn, and in the process, it's also important to unlearn a lot of things that we've already sort of pinpointed here, and the conditioning that we have due to the kind of cultures that we have sort of been brought up in. That are also things that you'll be questioning in the 4 years. So like during your admissions, I would say just be honest and go ahead with it. Like you have nothing to sort of hide over here. Like whatever you are, just be yourself, and I think you taste it with that. So
Excellent. Thank you so much, all of you. Regarding the questions on the chat, it's been buzzing, and our panelists have done a phenomenal job multitasking while speaking at one end and answering questions on the other. So thanks a ton for that. There are still a few questions which have not been answered, and the reason is that there are questions about the SAT scores and general, very admission oriented questions, or major and minor oriented questions. Now the colleges are also going to be addressing all of you tomorrow. Each college is going to speak for 30 minutes, and a lot of the questions that are pending on the chat will be directly addressed by the colleges. So in the interest of time, we've already, we're 25 minutes over, what we had planned. Actually, 10 minutes, 6:15 is what we had planned. Thank you so much. All our panelists here, you guys have been extremely, extremely generous with all the information that you have, so kindly provided to all of us here. And I think we've been getting some amazing feedback and comments. So thanks a ton for that. Shivani?
I wish I had taken up liberal arts. This is the yeah, but really enjoyed the interaction, and I guess a lot of people are benefiting from it. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming for this, and really happy to have you. And
thanks a ton, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
And
us here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
it's only
wonderful
been
session.
our pleasure. And Avashi again has been absolutely fantastic in multitasking and addressing everything in the back end. So thank you, Avashi, for that. And she has also mentioned that all the profiles of all the speakers and the fact that the colleges are addressing the students tomorrow is available on our social media page. So anyone who's looking to connect with a specific panelist, a specific speaker, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to share their email address with you, where they might be able to answer some more questions, specific to a major or that particular college. So thanks a ton, everyone. I had a great time, and I'm very sure our students and parents have benefited from everything you had to say. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
you.
Kritika.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having us. Thank you. Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye. All the best for everything ahead.
All the best.
Bye.